I think a good title for this video is, Are Democrats Going Extinct? Maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but there is something to that. So this is a map of the replacement rates as a function of states. So this is replacement rates per state in color. The lightest ones are below 1.6 and the super dark are above 2.0. Replacement rate is basically how many babies a woman is having on average in her life. So it's actually two people having a baby or two babies. In the developed world, 2.1 is considered break even. If you're at 2.1, your population doesn't grow or shrink. There's a certain point of replacement rate below, say, 1.6 or so that a population can't recover. So anyway, I look at this map and I notice something interesting. Over here in the northeast is pretty light, rather lighter on the west coast too, and then the central parts, save a few very liberal pockets, are heavy birth rates. So all of a sudden it was like, oh, I wonder if there's a relationship. Of course. So what I did was went to Wikipedia and got the 2016 election results. So here, percent that voted Democrat in Alabama, 34%, California, 61%, Indiana, 37%. So I just copied the whole list and pasted that into a spreadsheet. So here was my data. Another piece of data that I had to get was, here's the map that I was looking at, just showed you. Here are the replacement rates from 2007 to 2017. So this column over here is last year, 2017, and I just copied that data for each state and pasted it in here. So I have Alabama through Wyoming, their replacement rates, and then of course also their voting. Okay, so let's form paired data, and that I did. So here it is, and then I ranked it from low to high as a function of Democrat voting, because I'm going to plot this. You'll see that in a moment. So you have your lowest Democrat voting rate and replacement rate, and this is then ordered, and it produces this chart right here, where you have your, here's 20 to 65% Democrat voting along the x-axis, and here are your replacement rates, and here is your data with a trend line. And you can see the equation is replacement rate is equal to minus 1.03x plus 2.25. And now, because these are all mixture data, I can use this trend to extract, splay out essentially what the Republican birth rate versus replacement rate versus Democrat replacement rate. The replacement period is 28 years on average. As I said, break even is 2.1 for developed nations. If you're a developing nation, you need more kids because more will not reach reproductive age. So this is for developed nations. Now, so when I plug in into this equation, I either plug in a 0 or a 1. 0 for 0 Democrats, and that solves the Republican replacement rate, or 1, and that solves the Democrat replacement rate. So we get 1.22 for Democrats. That is dying. And for Republicans, 2.25, so that's 2.25 is above break even, so growing. The next question, of course, is why? There's a lot of different reasons. One of them could be abortion rates. So I went and got the abortion statistics, Alabama through Wyoming, percent pregnancies aborted, right down this column, states right on this side, and copied and pasted, ordered pairs, and of course we can graph that, and once again we show a trend as a function of Democratic vote that basically the abortion rates go up. I'm not saying that that is the only reason, but it could be one of the reasons. Okay, now the question is, what does that do? Well, it has an effect on the elections moving forward. So here was our replacement rate graph. Here was that data graphed against Democratic Party vote per state. Here are the abortion rates. As you can see, they get very high in the liberal states, relatively low by comparison in Republican states, and we can graph this, and it has a trend to it. It's visually obvious, and there will be an effect on elections. So what I have, this was 2016. In 2020, pretty much the same result. I just, in the model that I built, required that Republicans win by 3% over Democrats, so sort of a headwind, and then this gives the electoral points 1, and that adds up to 305. So 2020, 305. But there's some interesting things happening. In 2024, Maine becomes predominantly Republican. Minnesota flips. Nevada and New Hampshire flip. Let's look at that. The effect on the electoral map is, let's see that. Here's blues up here, Nevada, and 2024, red. And then how would the Democrats make up for this? Well, they're 24 million short. That's a lot of immigration. And obviously this gets worse over time. 2028. Let's see, what flipped? Colorado flipped. 2028, Virginia and Colorado flip. And of course this trend gets worse. Now 36 million short. That's about a third of Mexico. That's not, that immigration process is not going to happen. So there are consequences to leftism. When everybody gets a trophy, you don't know how to lose. The changes in demographics will have an effect, and youth tend to vote as they were raised. So that's the whole premise. All right, This is just a quick analysis, food for thought. And it's an irreversible process at this point.